How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to show you how to grip a skateboard. Before I begin, please bear in mind that there are countless ways to do this, and this is just what I found works best for me. For materials, you don't need too many things. I have an X-Acto knife, which cuts the grip, a screwdriver, which actually outlines it, you'll see, an 8.25 revive deck, the skateboard I'll be gripping, and grip tape. Alright, you got the sheet of grip tape, pixie sticks, and a bunch of stickers. Cool. Although you don't need stickers to grip a board, it is certainly nice to have them. Alright, so, even more pixie sticks. Awesome. Alright, here we have it. It's really easy to punch out too. Alright, I'm literally holding Doug Disatel's right now. Alright, so here's the grip tape. One thing I like to do that isn't really necessary but looks cool is a cutaway, which is just cutting a diagonal line through the grip. So what I'll do, make sure you have material you like to cut on. This is just really crappy wood, so it's fine. Maybe don't do this on your parents' nice kitchen table. And I'm going to do a sideways line just like this. And you got to go really, press down really hard to make sure it cuts. Alright, there we go. And I'm going to do that one more time to make a cool little stripe. Make sure you push down really hard or otherwise it won't work. Alright, so here we have the strip. Another reason why I like to do cutaways is when you have the smaller sheets of grip, it's easier to make sure you put it on a line. When you have the long sheet, oftentimes it can get a little crooked, but this makes it a lot easier. And that's actually the reason why I started doing cutaways. Now I just like to do it because it looks cool. Make sure you have the nose of the board where you want the nose of the board to be. And take your sheet first, and I'm going to do this one. So you're going to want to line it up and make sure you know exactly where you're going to put it. Just peel it off like so. It should peel off really easily. So before you put it down, make sure it's aligned absolutely perfectly. Put down the very edge and use your finger to smooth it down just a little bit. And then work your way to the edge, pushing down little by little to make sure there aren't too many air bubbles, which is when air gets caught and makes a bubble. And one thing to keep in mind is even if you do get air bubbles, it really does not matter at all. It's just an aesthetic thing. Personally, I really don't care if I get air bubbles. You don't have to press it down too hard because we're going to go over it later. Alright, so this is a good start, and now I'm going to take my strip, peel it off, and drop it on the ground. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot the most important step. It's a lot easier to grip if you're wearing a sombrero. This makes it a lot easier. Line it up and slowly press it down. Perfect. Looks good so far. Throw it on the ground dramatically. Take off your broken sombrero. Toss it behind you and line it up and work your way down. Alright. Now that you've laid your grip, you're going to take the sheet that the grip came on, lay it down, and rub it to make sure it's really nice and firm on your board. This way you can rub it without making your fingers bleed, which is, that's the goal right here. Now the next step is making the outline you're going to cut. Some people skip this step entirely, but I think it makes it a lot easier knowing exactly where to cut. At an angle, you're going to take the screwdriver and work your way around the grip tape. It's easier to do it on the side further from you, so I flip my board around to do the other side. Now you should have the perfect outline of a nice looking skateboard. At this point there are a couple of different things you can do. Some people like to stand it down even more with a screwdriver until the point at which they can just peel it off. I think it's a lot cleaner and easier just to take your X-Acto knife and cut it away. I make incisions right before the curve of the nose and tail, and I'll just cut those to pieces separately. Alright. One thing to keep in mind is your first couple times gripping a skateboard, it is not going to look pretty. You may or may not have rough edges, but even if you do, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't affect the performance of a skateboard. Put your knife up against it and push into it a little bit, up and down, to get it started. And then once you're in like the first quarter of an inch, you're good to start cutting. So work slowly but confidently. Alright. And I like to keep my knife at a bit of an angle, so not quite flat but not quite vertical. Really just a nice middle ground. Sometimes I'll use my elbow to keep the board from moving. Make sure you don't cut into your wrist though. I'll try and raise it up a bit to avoid that. And I'll typically save these pieces because I'm going to use it to sand down the board at the end. Sometimes the grip gets sort of stuck to the board and makes it harder to cut. Make sure you peel it off just a little bit, which will make it a lot easier, especially when the pieces are shorter like so. When I cut, I always make sure that the piece I'm cutting is on the further side of the skateboard for me instead of the closer side. And this is so that I can keep the knife and use it against the edge of the board and not be really awkward about it. And that makes for a smoother cut. You see that? Just one nice fluid motion. Now getting this right is really just trial and error. The first couple times might not be great, but it doesn't really matter. Sometimes an inch or two of the grip is hard to cut and you can't get your knife to move. And to do that, you're just going to want to move it up and down and kind of force your way into it. That definitely makes for a jagged grip job, but it doesn't really matter as long as, you know, the grip is completely on your skateboard. Now our grip is fully on. For the last step, you're going to take one of the longer pieces of grip tape that you cut and fold it over like so. And then you're going to sand it down, and this is to make sure that your grip doesn't come and peel up when you first start skating it. And just work your way around the board once or twice. Here we have it, the completed grip job. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Thanks for watching.
I have one shoe